Better than normal. Have your seat, guys. I won't keep you long tonight, I promise. New normal. New normal. New normal in your life. I don't know what your New Year's resolutions was, but I say whatever they were, make sure they align with God. What I will ask you is how are you prioritizing your New Year's resolution? What is first on your New Year's resolutions list? I mean, really, you might not have wrote it down, but you know in your heart what you're looking for this new year. For some of you, you're saying, I just want to get healthy. I want to heal. Some people are saying, I want a better relationship with my children. Somebody is saying, I'm ready to move and relocate. Somebody is saying, I'm trying to mend a bridge in my life. Somebody is saying, I'm looking for a raise. And there's somebody this year that's in this room tonight or hearing my voice saying, I'm going to draw closer to God. Somebody is saying, what I'm going to stop doing is directing my own self and let God order my feet. So everywhere my feet lead me, I know the Holy Ghost is before me. Somebody is saying tonight that I'm sick and tired of what generations before me have brought to me. I'm going to be the difference maker. I'm the new normal in my family. People will see what marriage looks like and what a good marriage is in a family. Some people will see that daddies do stay home. There are some good men in this world that stayed with their wife and raised their kids and made sure that the kids were good. Somebody going to see that because we don't see those things as God has petitioned us to do, which is man findeth a wife, findeth a good thing. We don't do that. That should be a norm for everybody. It's a shame in our culture that is not the norm. What is the norm is divorce. What is the norm is women out there, girls wearing tight Daisy Dukes. What is the norm is everybody smoking weed. What is the norm is people have no sense of sincerity, not only to those, not even to those in their household. The chances are somebody could be sleeping in your house tonight that's selfish. Could be that you're the only one in your house tonight putting the right foot forward. It could be that your children respect their teachers at school more than they respect you. Could be that somebody in your house is looking for a role model because you're just not it. We have to make sure that we analyze and assess before we start making these new norms. Because with these new norms come a price. That's what Paul is saying to us, that you can have what you say you can have, be what you say you can be. We say all that. But when he come at the end and say, but you have to move on it. The problem with people in church nowadays is that we're not moving. We are not moving. I've been guilty of it. And everybody that's in church at some point has been guilty of a best friend called being lethargic. We are lethargic. I mean, I get to it tomorrow or God put something in me, but I'm too afraid because my credentials don't say I fit it. Paul just told us in here that there's a difference between the world's way and God's way, that if we're spiritually, all things are possible to those who believe. But we refuse to believe because we don't want a new normal. We want the things that come with a new normal, but we do not want the process. Process kills us. Just the even thought of a process kills us. You know why a lot of people don't have a house? Because they're afraid of the process. A lot of people should be farther than where they are, Minister Heath. They should be assistant principals in school, and they still a PE coach. And there's nothing wrong with a PE coach when you first get there, but if you've been there 20 years, are you really utilizing all your talents? And I wonder how many of us disappoint God because we never utilize all our gifts. Because of fear. We said last week that Sammy Davis said this all too well, that commitment is held up by your fear. Sammy Davis Jr. Your commitment to your new normal is head up because of your fear. It's held up because of your fear. I'm afraid that I might fail. Well, if you don't try, you're going to definitely be where you are. Not to try is to fail. It's just like people who say, I ain't going to say nothing, I ain't in it. Not to say nothing means you probably agree with the wrong. New normal. It's a new normal. It's a new time. We have to beware of little expenses because small leaks will sink a great ship. We have to be careful of the small things in our lives that hinder us. It's the small things that cause you to have a slow death, a slow disappointment. a slow, I have nothing else to give, because it's the small things that cause you to lose and cause your whole vision to sink. What caused your vision to stop? Yeah, you had a business and you had 5 people, and then after that it went cold. And because it got cold, the first thing you say, God went in it. God was in it. He was in it for you while you have to wait, just like he was in it for Jesus when he was on the cross. Both of y'all had to deal with the same thing, time. I had to deal with time, but this too shall pass. But we understand that many of our dreams cost too much. They cost more than we're willing to put in. So we live our whole life undervalued. You never get what you really want to in your life. All you do in your whole life when you look back is you maintain. Six Flags is a great place, but there's a lot of world out there. I can't go to Six Flags every year and wouldn't dare go and set foot on some other soil. At some point, you owe yourself that. I wouldn't dare have a wife and all we do is keep the grandkids all the time. And we can't go on no trips. No vacations there to be. Come on now. That's not normal. We got to stop getting in God's way with our children. They have to learn their new normal. But when they leave the house, what they're telling you is, I'm ready to go out here. I have graduated, and now I'm looking for a new normal. My spirit has been developed enough at the house to where now I feel like I can go out here and live a righteous life. But we can't get all in the way. You can't be coaching them and authoring them through their whole life, because you'll forget yours. And people look at it, Elder B, and say, that's cold-blooded. No, that ain't, Elder Bentley. That's how you're supposed to do. You've raised them and sacrificed, and your kids will never know how much you sacrifice. And now when you get them out the house, they think you stuck up from the floor up, and you say, no, baby, I couldn't wait so I can start my new normal. I couldn't wait till I start my new normal. I couldn't wait. No more PTA meetings, no more SAT scores, no more talking to FAFSA about grants and all that financial aid. Now all me and my husband got to do is chill. Check the curtains and the blinds, baby. Put both of the cars in the garage. We won't answer the door this weekend. We got all the groceries we need. We won't come out the house till Sunday. That's a new normal. But you know what stop our new normal? Everyday people. People stop your new normal. You'll be surprised what a whisper can do to your spirit. I know they didn't love me as they shut the door. Now they got the daddy, because the dog, they don't really get the mama. It's the daddies that normally give in. I wish I said we were stronger, but we're not. It's normally the women, the mamas that stand up. Well, let them go. And the daddy finds some kind of way when mama sleep to text them, okay. You never let them grow. We have to be stretched to grow. When you're yawning and doing this, you're stretching. We have to do the same thing in our life. We have to do the same thing in our vision. We have to do everything the same thing when we prioritize. We have to make sure that we're being stretched. If you're not being stretched, then you're minimizing your success. You're minimizing what God has given you. Because God wants to challenge you. He wants to see if you trust him. And when you don't have to, now before you, Elder, that's not a challenge. You're not trusting God. And then you wonder why your house jacked up. Ask yourself, what have I done special lately that cost me something? Like really, what have I done lately? Did I fast without the church? Did I make something up in our house anew that we're going to read the Bible, scriptures, before we eat supper? I said supper. I'm from the South Side, but I can say supper. Yeah. You have to do something different to get a different result, or you'll never be able to experience a new normal, and it's right here before you. Sometimes a new normal doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable, a new normal. The same with money. Many people don't take care of their money till it nearly comes to the end where it's running out. Then when the money starts to run out, then they start trying to hold back. Have y'all ever seen anybody like that? Okay, let me make it clear, because I ain't got nobody tonight in here but the ministers that are really into the message. Raise your hand if you've been there before. Okay, that's better. That's better. You had money. It could be your income tax check. This is a very dangerous time of the year. Because it's a time in the year where people, Sister Quanda, it's a time in the year where people can come up or their decisions can cause them to go down. And when that decision causes you to go down, come March, you feel lower down a totem pole. Because ain't nothing like being on, you had it, but then you didn't utilize it like you should have because you didn't want a new normal. You wanted to go back and all you wanted to do was change the brand of beer you were drinking and get a more expensive beer during that time because you had some change. And then you want to share that communion with all your homeboys, and you buying all the beer. I've been there. And felt good when I was doing it. Minister Heath, I felt good when I was buying that beer. Yeah, y'all come on over to the house, baby. Come on, I go to the cabinet, get all proud to put out all the communion that I had, top shelf. And the beginning of the next month, we struggling to pay the light bill. I got tired of that normal. We wanted a new normal. And I was undisciplined enough not to be at a place mature enough to where I moved and forged forward. It took me longer to learn what it takes for a new normal. It took a lot longer because I was stubborn. I knew what it took, but I wasn't willing to give up nothing. Anytime you talk about a new anything, you're talking about sacrifice. Some people this year are going to realize the relationship I'm in, I need a new normal. Don't stop at break. Because some people say, I need a break. No, you don't need a break. Anytime you're with somebody and you feel like you need a break from them, what you need to do is break away. Elder B, they don't need to break. I need a break from you. You hear people say that in relationships. I know you be standing there like, I mean, I've been married. You've been married, what, 30-something years? 35 years, and been together with Sister Quanda 45 years, something like that. They've been together. They were coming in when Noah was going out. They've been together a long time, and I know it probably confuses him when he hear people say that. I need a break from her. A break? What's a break, man? I've been with mine almost 50 years. Like, that don't make sense to people who have sacrificed to make a new normal in their life over and over and over again, because it's something it's a constant thing. It's an ebb and flow. It's a fluent thing when you're talking about a new normal, because you're going to always need a new normal in your life. It's like a car. I don't care how nice you keep it clean. At some point, it's going to need an oil change. You're going to need the brakes. You're going to need the brakes all down or changed or whatever they do with them, and you're going to need new tires. I don't care how safe you drive. You're going to need new tires at some point. The tread's going to fall. And the same thing holds on to your spirit. I don't care how much you go to church. I don't care how much you read the Bible. At some point, you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. It's going to come. I don't care how much people like you or don't like you. At some point, you're going to be out there by yourself. And the devil going to sit there and say, now I want to see what God taught you. Ain't nothing better than to be out there with you and Satan look at you and you look at him, and he say, I'm going to put this on you, and he bring it on. Now I'm going to see what God taught you. And you say, well, bring it on. Be like Paul. Paul say, I'm winning, man. Paul's new normal was this: whether I live or die, I win. He said, if I live, I can continue to let my light shine so that man see it and see the glory of God. He said, if I die, then I'm with God. He said, I can't lose, man. When you start thinking like that, you're a winner. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. We say that, but we don't live it. As soon as you say that, you come back and get some news in the mail. Shatters all the little ice you started to make solid. All the spirit that you were trying to solidify, now it's gone because of that thing came in the mail. You get an email to talk about something later. You forgot to pay a bill. And you don't put that money on something else because you weren't taking care of your bills. You were just depending on your phone, giving you an alert. Okay, I'm preaching. Because that's the truth. 8.1 billion people in this world. There's a lot of new normals out of those 8.1 billion people. Some people have things that they do, as tradition that the United States don't approve of. Last week I said, my wife, she likes to watch these Asians eat. Because if you ever seen them how they eat, they slurp when they eat the food, but it's how much food they eat and how small they are. And I say, Reed, baby, why you always watching them? Because I'm over there watching TV and I just hear. I'm like, why are you so fascinated with that? She say, just how fast they eat and how much they eat, but how small they are. I'm like, please, I don't want that new normal. We don't approve of slurping over here. We just don't approve of that over here. And there's a lot of normals for people that we don't quite understand. The world is a bumpy journey. It's bumpy. Whatever your goals are in life, your vision, if you would, it's going to be a bumpy journey. It has to be, because when you make up in your mind that you're somebody, Satan is starting to send people out. He can, and he know where your faith level is, so he's going to send them out. Satan's not wasteful. He don't send legions and demons after small infant Christians. Don't give yourself too much credit, man. Demons ain't been at you. You ain't strong enough for demons to come. They throwing fiery darts at you because they know your faith is easy to shake. Your resume spiritually doesn't speak to, I need demons at them. Think about it. Think about what you desire and ask yourself, what am I willing to do to get there? And everybody got different reasons. I don't care what you want to do. What I'm caring about, are you willing to pay the price for a new normal? Are you willing to be more disciplined to get what you want? What is your main gratification? What's your satisfaction in life? Is it something that you can carry with you forever? Or are you investing in intangibles that are seasonal? Like buying a pair of Jordan jeans that barely fit after the fast, but you ain't gonna maintain that weight. And then two months later, you got to get out them Jordan jeans and give them to somebody else. You don't even want them no more. I'm talking about something that'll stick with you. What are some visions in your life that will stick with you? What are what are your 10 commandments you have put up on a wall to say, I will no longer do this. I will no longer allow this. I will no longer let my flesh rise up in me. I will not longer have attitudes. I will find the good in every situation. Like what is it that you're putting on your 10 commandments? Because that's the start of a new normal. Write the vision and make it plain. When you write it, that means go ahead and write up under it what it's going to take to obtain it. But we just say what we want, elder, and that's all we get is a wish. Our culture is rich off of wishes. And the way it's moving, Christianity is rich off of wishes. Really. When you start talking about Generation X and all them, I thought the millennials had me swinging. Generation X, at least you can get the millennials to church. Might have to have some for them, but they're coming. Generation X just refused, which means that things have to change. We can't do it the way it was done for us. And the older I get, the more I'm seeing that. We got to make some changes. And the ministers know I tell the truth on me all the time. Because that's the only way I'm going to get to heaven. I ain't going to let not telling the truth stop me from getting to heaven as hard as I've been working to try to be good. No. But we have to make changes too. We have to look and say, what does it take to get that generation in here? Because the old generation that was accustomed to what we're doing dying off. I mean, seriously. What we do to get the Generation X, those young guys right there behind the elder and next to Minister Heath, what do we do to keep them in church? Because that's the back that we're going to have to stand on. We're in our 50s, elder. We don't have much longer. Not to have the energy we have now. No. You got to be forward thinking, man. There's got to be one coming that's anointed to touch them. That's why I got Minister Heath over the youth department. I don't know what he made on SAT, but I know he has the ability to touch those people there. He can touch them better than me, Elder Bentley, and Elder Tench put together because he can relate to them better than us. I'm still dealing with the Isley brothers. Elder Tench said he Peebo Bryson. And I know Elder Bentley, he was a freak back in the day. He liked Rick James. I took the corner and say, Lord, have mercy. Pastor, don't tell the truth in front of everybody. But it's the truth. It's the truth. How do we get to the place to where we can have a new normal? Proverbs 3:9 says, honor the Lord with thy substance, not just finances, with your spirit. Honor the Lord first with your spirit. With your spirit. Is he getting the first of you every day? Because we made this point on a Sunday that some things with God are non-negotiables. And one of those things is he will not be second. Proverbs 22:7 say, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. Why are you thinking that you still want to be poor? Why you never tell yourself you can be rich? Because the Bible says the poor will always what? They're going to always be amongst us. But he didn't say I have to be amongst them. Because he comes back and say, those who bless the poor, I'll bless them. So now I have a decision to make, Sister Quanta. Do I want to be the poor, or do I want to be the one blessing the poor? And you don't have to have all the money in the world to start blessing. You can start blessing right now. You can bless them right now. You got a grandmama at home that's struggling. She's on Social Security. You know Social Security ain't getting no raises as inflation go up. Maybe God has put on your heart, just give her $50 a month. Now, don't nobody else in the family have to know it because you've already received your award. Just grandmama, just you and your wife. We stop by once a month and we give grandmama $50. That's all you might be able to do, but it's $50 more than she had. Grandmama don't eat that much anyway, but it'll help her. Why don't we think that we can be rich? Minister Heath, somebody help me, because I don't understand why we walk like we are poor. We talk like we are poor, and we want to do the same things over and over because we're afraid to get out of our comfort zone. We are so afraid to get out of our comfort zone. The comfort zone, Sister Barrow, either telling people, learning to tell people no. That's a normal that you don't tell people no. You just want to befriend everybody, so you just, yeah, okay, I could try. And you know you can't do it. Just tell them, I ain't going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. That's a new norm for somebody. For somebody, it's dry your tears up. Stop whining and crying. Dry your tears up. For somebody, it's a new normal for that. For somebody, it's a new normal learning how to express yourself verbally. Stop using so much verbal aggression. You're cussing more than you speak in tongues. What's your new normal? What's your new normal? Hebrews 13:5 say, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have, for he hath said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Change your conversation. Change your conversation, change your life. Change your conversation, change your life. Speak life. Every time I talk to Elder Billy, one thing I tell him, I'm praying for you and you healed. I know what the doctor said, but I know who got the last word. You're healed. I talk to my aunt, you healed. I don't care what they say, you healed. Sometimes it's tough for me to believe it with him, but he healed. Up until the day my brother Mike died, we all went down to the hospital and were praying. The men would go down there and we would pray with Mike. And one night we prayed so hard for Mike in that room, Mike almost came out the bed. You remember that, Elder? We went down there expecting a new normal for our brother. And he was right there in the prayer. But see, everybody was on one accord. That could be your next new normal. Everybody in my house is on one accord. You ain't got peace in your house because you're praying the wrong prayers. No, the first prayer got to be, God, bring unity in my house. You want peace individually. When you say you need to be praying for peace corporately. Because if you got peace in the house, but your wife is a hell raiser, then the two ain't going to get together. They ain't going to, negative and a positive don't mix. You in the same place. You had peace until you got home from work. Because you praying the wrong prayers. And you want a new normal, you got to pray aggressive. And you can't let feelings get, listen to me, you can't let feelings get in the way when you're praying for the people that despitefully misuse you, or when you're mad with your spouse at the crib. You cannot pray, Lord, bless me and my children and let him rot in hell. You know what? Y'all acting like y'all so did it. But I know it's somebody on that TV right now saying, boy, you talking to me. Because you have prayed prayer. How many of y'all have prayed prayers for your enemies like that? You pray good for everybody else. Okay, let me raise my hand. I have. Now, it ain't been in the last 10 years since I've been pastoring, but before then, I prayed some unbelievable prayers. Yeah. I prayed on one of my teachers one time in college. I flunked one class down in Athens, and all the athletes in that class, we took it. It was a hard class. We took that class, Dr. Howard. We took that class. It was linear equations. And Minister Heath, we all took it during the summer because we figured it'd be easier. But the lady that was in there, Dr. Howard, she used to be a cheerleader at Georgia. She's an older Caucasian lady by now. And she didn't like athletes at all. But she was the only one who taught that class. And all of us sitting there, me, Demetrius Douglas, Snake in the class. I shouldn't have took it with him. He had a bad spirit. He only took it twice before then. We all in there. Marshall Wilson was in the class. Chuck Carswell. All us in the class together. A couple of basketball players. Flunked the class. No, Marshall Wilson got a D. And we tried to figure out how you get a D and you've been in developmental studies. We didn't have to take developmental studies. You took developmental studies and you got a D out the class. Had to take that class again. Didn't want to take that class again. It was a hard class. But we found out that the teacher used to be a cheerleader at Georgia back in the 60s, and she used to date this guy who did her wrong. And she shifted her mindset. What her new normal was, all athletes who come in my class gonna flunk. She made it hard on us. Todd Wheeler was in the class. I mean, she didn't discriminate black, white, Jew, Gentile, basketball, football. You're an athlete, you going down. I went back to Robert Miles and said, why did you have me take her, Robert? I'm close to graduating. He said, that's the only class. If you're in business education, you got to go through her. And he said, you can change your major. Blasphemy. I'm too close to graduating. Blasphemy. Don't you ever talk to me. I was like Jesus then. Don't you ever talk to me like that. I'm about out of here. I came back, and I said, I'm going to take it by myself. New normal. I said, I'm going to take it by myself in the spring. I took that class by myself. I was staying off campus then. My last football season was over, and after that, back then, that's when you can go live in apartments. Now you can live in them your second year there. But me, Sean, and Snake was together, and Snake had took the lady 3 times, and I said, well, I'm going to take this class. And when I got in the class, Snake, why you didn't tell me you were taking the class? There's a method to this. I need a new normal. I don't need you, Snake, in the class with me, because you ain't passed in 3 times. You ain't going to pass. I went and took that class, and you know the amazing thing about that, Sister Kwanda, it seemed like it was harder this time than the first time. I know somebody wanted the fairy tale story and say, I passed the class with a breeze. It was harder this time because I was by myself and I was trying so hard. But it was back then when you write linear equations with the computer and you had to tell the computer every step of what to do back then. A squared equals such and such cosine, all that. And there'd be a page and a half long to get it to pull out the data you're supposed to get it to pull out. Like, put this in there where it'll spread it'll get all the months of the year and the dates for those months. But you have to put in equations to make the computer do that. Lord have mercy. So I did something I shouldn't have did. I wasn't ready for the final, so I fabricated. Please don't find fault in me. That's been years, 30 years ago. I fabricated and went in there and told her one of my friends had almost drowned. I'm I'm not in no shape to take that test today. William, I'm sorry to hear that. When I got outside of class, she said, well, you can come back and take it Friday. That's just how I looked at it, because thank you. And I walked out the building, and I said, Lord, what am I going to do? I studied for 3 days. And God made a way for me. She gave me the test in her office and told me to go down to the classroom and take the test. I got in the classroom. I said, this is a trick. I sat in the back so I can hear walking, because it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I sat there, and I got my notes out because I wanted a new normal. And I looked at them, and I didn't get the answers right, but I got the equation right. 2 questions. And I had did all I could real fast and then put my stuff back up, because I didn't want her to catch me. I'd get expelled from school. So I just said, I'm going to have to wing it. And she never came down there. And so I just got tired. I just say, win, lose, or draw. Big boy, this is it. I took my paper down there. And she said, thank you, William. And I did something that was extraordinary. I cried. I wouldn't sit up here and tell no story. Ms. Eve, I cried in front of the teacher. I could make myself cry. I gave her the speech, Elder, that all us learned to give down there. There you go, Dr. Howard. I gave it my best. It's so much on me for what I saw during spring break. I pray to God I did well. They were, William, I'm sure you did your best. And I was looking for something else, but that's all she gave. I was so confused and bewildered when I left there. I did what I only knew how to do. I wish I could sit up here and say I prayed. I got my buddy's car and went on to the store. Went up there and saw Nate at the store. Nate was this Caucasian that was the manager of the liquor store. We got all the free beer and liquor we wanted. I went by there and looked at Nate. I ain't had no money. I went back there, got a 12-pack, looked up. I walked on out the door. I went home and told Sean and Snake what had happened. True story. Sean was encouraging as usual. It's going to be all right, big boy. Snake was up there doing what Snake do. Hustling. Big boy, like, you're going to be down here with me, baby. You're going to be down here with me, because I ain't taking it no more. Now, Elder Billy, you know Snake Emmanuel Blakeney from Northside High School. Now, that joke can run that track now. He can run that track, but that was our roommate once we got off campus. Snake had been there about 6 years already. Snake graduated high school in 82, 83. And he was still there with me and Sean. We 86 and 87. I sat there and I put the Heinekens on the table, and we all partaked in communion. She said, I had a grades posted tomorrow. Now they do back then, they put your ID number up there. And that walk was the closest I've ever experienced a walk like Jesus walked the road of Golgotha. I didn't realize that through all the tragedy, all the trauma, what I was walking to. And you go by yourself, because your buddies ain't going to go with you, because they ain't take the class. They still at the house doing what we left off doing the day before. And I get down that hall, and I get out and I see all their stuff outside. You know how they do it? I have all the grades outside their door. You know how they do? In college, they have all the grades outside the door. And I went, but she ain't had that many classes because people weren't taking that. I got there, and it was like my hands was nailed. I could barely lift it. And I looked at my class period and looked down. I was Wynn. I was the last number. I looked. And I looked at my student ID number for a second. And then I was so scared to look over. That's how I can preach this. It took me a minute to get up the courage to look over at my grade. And once I finally, Lord had blessed me with a C. The way the applaud was, I felt like I'm talking to a bunch of scholars. But for me, that was everything. I rushed home. And this time I didn't stop at the liquor store. I rushed home. And I told Snake and Sean, and me and Sean celebrated and hugged, and Snake sat there and regretted that he didn't take the class with me. It gave me a new normal. Walking down that hall and looking at that grade was harder than any practice I ever had at Georgia. It takes that for a new normal. That it's a long walk, but you got to get there. Sometimes that walk is in your mind. Mental anguish is the worst. Mental anguish is much worse than physical aggression. But I learned from it. Only class I have ever failed in my life. To be honest, Sister Kwanda, shortly after that class, my spirit erased everything I learned in there. I never wanted to see a linear equation again, but it made me a better man. It put me in a place where running out in front of 93,000 people could never put me, because doing that is emotional. When you hear that crowd out there and you run out there and you can't hear yourself, that's cool, that's emotional, but that stopped when the whistle blows. Then you got to get to work. But that day when I walked alone, knowing that the Holy Ghost was with me, was one of the most tormenting days of my life. But it turned out to be one of the best, most gratifying days ever in Athens. I conquered a hurdle that a lot of athletes couldn't conquer. And I did some things along the way I shouldn't have. I fabricated. My buddy did he did have an accident on the boat down in Clearwater. He did. They had to rush him to the hospital. I added a little bit to it. But sometimes you're in such dire straits, you don't know what you got. You got to do what you got to do, man. You really do. And I've been in that situation a couple of times. But every time it helped me come out better. It helped me become a better man. I found a new normal. I had a new vision, and I had something higher to reach towards. I've been through a lot, as I'm sure you all have too. But one thing I won't ever stop doing is chasing my next new normal, because that's gratifying. I would never stop chasing my next new normal. We're going to conclude this next week. I got two people in the Bible I want to really dissect. I want to really dissect these two people and show you how they transitioned right before our eyes into their new normal, and how it was gut-wrenching, but it made them better people. And I'm sure I can put a lot of y'all in the place of these people here in your stories. For the keepsake of making other people jealous, I'm going to stick with the Bible. If life was easy, if success was easy, we all would be successful. We all would be gratified. We all would be rich financially. But it just might not be for everybody to be rich. Maybe you could be wealthy in peace. Maybe you can be thankful because your family's together. Maybe you can have joy because for a change, all your bills are paid. And you finally got a little money in the bank. Maybe for the first time, you can walk without hurting as much. Sometimes overcoming is wealthy enough. Sometimes being able to pull yourself up, even though when you pull yourself up, you're wet and nasty and smelly, but you made it over. You overcame. You didn't allow fear to cause you to fail. You created your own name. You created your own hat with a C on it. For Christ. That's who I represent. And it comes through every day when my flesh wants to say no, but my spirit says yes. That's a new normal for me every day. We have to ask for forgiveness an unbelievable amount of times a day. And every time you do it, tell yourself, okay, now I'm starting a new normal. Now I'm coming out the blocks. Be slow to speak, quick to hear, and be even quicker to forgive. Because not forgiving puts an extra layer of stress on you that you should never carry. It costs you nothing to forgive. Your flesh tells you it does, but it doesn't. Probably 20% of people's stress comes from not forgiving. Can't forget. But we walk Christ-like, and he say once he forgive, he throws it into what? The sea of forgetfulness. But we do not. We hold on to it because we embrace the smell of get back. We love how it feels to get even. All those things are just compounding negatives in your life that causes you to fall short of the glory of God. And even more, never reach your new normal. Strangle yourself. Suffocate your thoughts because you don't think you can. My last thing tonight is this. All of you can. When you make up in your mind that you shall, all of you will. May God add a blessing to the reading, the hearers, and doers of this word tonight. Put your hands together. Amen. God bless you.
You've just had an experience with champions, and we are so glad that you tuned in today. Let's continue to honor God through our commitment to give. There are 4 ways to give. You can give online via Cash App at $Champions for Christ. Next, you can give online at www.championsforchristim.org. Lastly, you can give during service or on our mobile app available in the Apple and Google Play stores. Please be sure to tune in each and every week to our online broadcast. Encourage others to tune in with you. Remember, we are champions because we are champions for Christ.